Hi, hello, my Hope More family. Happy Hope Day. We don't do no harm around here. I wanted to get on just to take a minute, a short few minutes, to talk about a very important subject, mental health. Today's question on the May We month is: May we take a minute to get real about mental health? Now, listen, May is Mental Health Month, and I love it. You can go anywhere on the internet and find some really great, encouraging calendars that suggest different activities to do that would improve your overall mental health. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't really have any issues to be worried about mental health. I'm not dealing with anxiety. I'm not depressed. But don't you know, just like a person who goes and gets a checkup on their physical body, it's good to check up on your mental health. Are you getting sleep? Do you find yourself worrying more than maybe normal? Or for you, is worrying the default mechanism? Do you ever just walk around in complete peace? Now, there are those in the black community, there are those in communities of faith who have a struggle and a hard time adjusting to the concept that they have mental health problems or that there needs to be mental health care. But let me tell you, although that we have the mind of Christ, is if we definitely renew it with the word of God, but we see that even through the Bible that God would say, like, you would be in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on him. So sometimes, right, we do not do that. We do not keep our mind stayed on him. And if we're working in and out of the home, it's often very hard to do so, right? So it's important for us to know that, hey girl, it's important for us to know that it's okay to take a mental health break. It is okay to say, you know what? I need to just go walk along somebody's beach. It is okay for me to say, right now, I'm not returning any calls. Or right now, I'm actually throwing out all of my social media apps and just taking a break. It is so important. And I particularly say that to you, type A personalities, and, those who work in ministry, those who are caretakers, those whose professions cause them to care for other people. It's so easy not to take care of your mental health or to take the mental break that you need. Listen, come close. I'm sad eyeing you. Here's the truth. If something happened to you tomorrow, someone else will come along and do the job that you're doing. God forbid something happened to me, there will be someone else helping my parents manage their care. No matter how great of a lawyer I am and the people who I want to take home with me and answer their phone calls at midnight, guess what? If something happens to me, someone else will take my place. So I have to take care of me. Let me tell you, last year, as we go into this, right, in a pandemic, it was so hard. But before it was even hard during the pandemic, I ended a relationship with someone who I had just completed marriage counseling with. We were planning a wedding, and I was excited. And I broke up with him, and I did not want to go through the machinations of being free and okay, when really inside I was feeling not just heartbroken, but really bewildered. Like, what is this next stage in my life? So, you know what I did? I sat down with a psychologist and I went to therapy, and I continue in that therapy today, even though the subjects that I've been talking about have waxed and waned, from church ministry to my parents to relationships to my exercise and my mentality when it comes to taking care of myself and my body. And I just encourage people to take a minute to get real about your mental health. I felt like I would definitely have cracked up secretly, privately, on the outside being so great, but I would have probably cracked up if I didn't have Mr. David to talk to you on Thursdays at around 3 o'clock. Sometime it was Tuesday around 10, to just talk to him without any concern of what he may think, judgment. Or here's the thing, even as you're a minister, some of you guys, or you go talk to your mom or dad, if your life is anything like mine, even if you share things that they can handle, they will often be thinking also, what is the consequence of what you're dealing with on their lives. So if you're saying you're stressed out and they have a need that you normally supply, if they're of any consideration, they're going to be thinking about the stress that you have now and how they are putting pressure on you. And sometimes you just want to talk to someone who's not worried. I remember one time I was feeling so much stress, and this could be in any church I've ever belonged to, because I know I'm a fabulous leader in church. I'm a no holds barred. I'm going in. But it's like I can't tell you how stressed I am because you're going to be thinking about, well, if she's stressed, I need to give her a break. But what about Sunday service? What about the responsibility I've given her? And the same thing at work. I want to tell my boss, or when I had a boss like that, I would be like, I'm really I just represented someone in dealing with sexual violence case, and I'm really having a hard time with this. And sometimes I would be like, but I don't want to seem incompetent. I don't want to seem weak. So I keep it to myself. But you know who you can go talk to that with? A therapist who's only there to listen and help you really find the answer in yourself, because often it is in yourself. And I'm getting an amen from my friend Jennifer Bliss. Everyone could benefit from therapy. That's right. Untangle the yard. Take the opportunity, right? If you are not feeling well in your legs, right, you would go get them checked out. If you weren't feeling well in your heart, you go to a cardiologist. Well, if your mind is dealing with a lot of different levels, and shoot, you don't have to be dealing with a lot of different levels. You're tired in your mind, or maybe dealing with weariness. You don't have to be hearing voices. You don't have to be finding yourself clinically depressed, but just the idea of like talking to someone, sometimes you recognize patterns, even psychosis or bad habits or generational problems that you are mimicking behavior or ways to deal with things that may not be healthy. And sometimes unraveling that with a therapist helps you. I love it. Jennifer, a therapist is the detangling brush for your dreadlock thought life. I love it. I love it. And that is so true. So may we take a minute to get real about our mental health? Do you find yourself having a shorter fuse than maybe you've had in the past? Or that you often are on a short fuse in traffic? You can't even get through a red light without thinking 500 curse words. Do you find yourself having more than what you would consider reasonable hesitancy in getting into groups? After we've been quarantined all this time, who wouldn't? Do you find yourself in a relationship that doesn't serve you well, but you don't know how to get out of it? Or you get out of a relationship not serving you well, but you want to make sure you have the tools to not choose the same kind of guy over and over again, or girl, or make sure that you don't go back to where you came from because of loneliness and the isolation of your own thoughts and your own desires, or what other people may feel about you will cause you to feel some type of buckling pressure to maybe go with dysfunction that you know versus the future of the unknown. So I just want to take this minute. This is literally probably the shortest hump day, which we don't do hump day shows I've ever done, but I just wanted to get on here and just ask everyone, take a minute to get real about your mental health. And I would suggest with all this mental health information going on, you can find different exercises to do to just massage and give self-care to your mind. You know what? Jennifer's co-hosting with me today, for real. There are many free online therapy opportunities. And you know what? That is very true. And if you, many jobs also offer different counseling services that will provide up to 3 or 4 therapy sessions. There is a lot of opportunity there because people are understanding that more than ever before, or more than in a lot of seasons, people are coming to the end of themselves. I don't know if you've noticed, there have been people who are rich, poor, young, old, who just seem to not be making it. And they're having situations happen where they're being disastrous in their ideas. And a lot of times, even these mass shootings are attempts of suicide by police or suicide by something crazy, expecting at the end to be dead. I just had, unfortunately, a church friend whose grandson's best friend was killed by his father. After his father killed him, his sister, and himself, um, in a small community. And what's crazy is that my friend's grandson typically is hanging out with them. It's an affluent family, and her grandson was very much involved. They were like the kind who would take him on vacation. And it just happened that weekend, well, we know it's not just happening, he wasn't there at the cabin. And the father was so full of anxiety and anger in the divorce proceedings he was going through, he killed himself, killed his son, his innocent son and daughter, to get back at wife, his divorcing wife. Somebody needs to take a minute to get real about mental health. And everything doesn't have to be so extreme. It's sort of like once you start feeling pain in your body, you may have already been a little bit late in getting a checkup, right? Pain is at the end. So we don't have to wait until we're feeling dysfunctional or we can't get up out of bed. Why not? While you still have a good sense of self and you got some control over your time, and maybe you have bad days and more good days and bad days, these are a great time to get a therapist and just talk things out, because you may discover, like Jennifer said, you're detangling some type of dreadlock thought in your life that you thought was normal. This is Hope Moore, and I want you guys in the month of May to take an opportunity to take a minute to just get real about your mental health. And, if you're a believer like me, praying like, God, what are beliefs that are not good for me that I entertain in my mind? Do I have certain fears that torment me late at night when no one's around? Do I feel like I have to have this facade to present myself because the real me is not, I don't feel sufficient? Or the worst, God, I feel like an imposter. If people really knew what I was dealing with, they wouldn't trust me with their lives or this particular employment opportunity. Those type of things, it would be very helpful to take a minute to consider therapy or some other situation that can help. You know what? Talking to people is therapy. I'm not saying taking your business everywhere, but sometimes, is a grandmother or a wise aunt, or yes, it could be a minister of the gospel, but someone who you can share with, who will not give you judgment and even advice that may not be what you're needing. You just want to talk to someone. And particularly singles, I encourage you to find it, because sometimes singles of a certain age, could feel a little bit isolated even when it comes to just having someone to daily share their life with, because you can go weeks without really, really having a conversation about what's going on in your life. So in taking a minute, I just ask and encourage you, even if you're watching on the replay, to please note in the comments, what are you going to do about your mental health? What are about 1 to 3 things you're going to do to improve your mental health? Because if you're feeling nothing, you have no stress, anxiety, or anything, well, you're in a great position to go ahead and put some habits in there to help buffer you from getting those types of traps in your life where you find yourself feeling weary, tired, and burned out. Just this past weekend, I'll let you go, I was talking to someone who's really a go-getter. And again, so many of my friends are in ministry. They're a go-getter, but they've been having issues in their body. But what's been running havoc in their mind is, really, when you break it down, they feel like unless they're doing something for God, doing something for ministry, doing something for others, that no one would pay attention to them. And here's the truth. God does not desire that through activity we build relationship only, that our only value is what we do. Our just being who we are is enough. If I never did one more thing for you, for this ministry, for a body, I am enough. And I tell you what, I still deal with that and talk about it in therapy, where it's like, what are you doing, Hope? Slow down. Drop it. It's not yours. There's only one Messiah. His name is Jesus Christ. He's already come, been crucified and resurrected. What are you doing? And I'm like, Lord, but if I'm not reaching out to help someone, would anyone even touch my hand? If I didn't have a JD behind my name and maybe some legal credentials that can help someone out, how many people would never call my phone? But then I have to think about and remind myself that I am wonderfully and fearfully made by the Father, and if I don't do anything, give anything away, share or are useful to someone or to a group or to a ministry, I'm still full of value. I'm still worthy. And some of that stuff can really, really make you vulnerable to manipulation. And I've been guilty of it. There have been people who've been guilty of it dealing with me. And I'm just like, wow, I thought you cared about me, but now I see that I was just useful to you. So even as a minister now with more responsibility in helping my parents pastor churches and consulting other churches, I have to be more mindful to show not just empathy, but to consider and ask about people's lives outside of what they're doing, outside of what service they're providing, because that's some unhealthy stuff that I've gotten in places that may have been a little bit more dysfunctional than I wanted to admit. So, yes, Jennifer, I am enough. That is so true. Team, been there, done that. You never know how much you love until you tell somebody no. Then you really say that, right? And I love it. Therapy helps you see that extra, dislodge it, and release it. I think that's so true. So just take a minute, share those 1 to 3 things, and I will see you next Wednesday on the next Hope Day. I'm really excited because actually I'm in some reorganization right now with some really amazing people, and I look forward to what you'll hear about soon, which is the relaunch of Hope More, and I'm just really excited that my whole family is going to come with me. God bless you. Have a wonderful Hope Day, because we don't do humps around here. And may God bless you even the more. My mom has me singing this song, and I posted on my personal Facebook today. 6 months to mind your own business, and 6 months to leave yours alone. So mind your business, mind your mental health. Thank you, Jennifer. See, that's my girl. I love you guys, and I mean it.